if your home is not organized. Now, I'm not talking about being perfectly clean and tidy and looking like it's out of a magazine. To be organized just means that you're able to wake up in a state of somewhat calm, knowing what you're going to do for the day. You're not going to be as productive if you can't find your keys. If you are irritated because you run out of coffee because you forgot to go grocery shopping. So I think there's a huge impact on your productivity if your surroundings are not supporting you and you are not organized.
I'm Ngozi Edema, host of the Minute Mastery podcast, author, entrepreneur, and time management coach. This is a conversational productivity and time management podcast where busy authors and entrepreneurs are inspired to create time for what truly matters. Here you are encouraged to turn your minutes into milestones and to create at least 1 hour a day to work on your goals without feeling overwhelmed. Each week, my guest and I will bring you actionable tips and strategies to help you navigate life 1 minute at a time. Whether it's mastering productivity, overcoming procrastination, or building a balanced lifestyle, we're here to help you make every moment count, going 1 minute at a time. So make yourself comfortable, grab a seat, and let's dive in and take back your time. Time blocking is a beautiful tool that helps you take control of your day, ensuring every minute counts. With time blocking, you can schedule your tasks so efficiently that you actually have time left over to relax and enjoy. Whether you are an entrepreneur, author, or a busy parent simply looking to boost your productivity, I have prepared a guide to get you started with time blocking. I've packed this guide with practical tips and customizable templates that will help you build a daily schedule that works for you. And the best part? It is designed for anyone, whether you're just starting out or looking to level up your productivity. So, ready to make your day more productive and stress-free? Click in the link in the description below to download your free time blocking guide. So, is there a connection between the space we work and productivity? In this episode of the Minute Mastery podcast, we are going to look at the connection between organization and productivity. And trust me, a cluttered space does more than just crowd your home. It impacts on your mind, your emotions, and even your success in whatever you do. My guest on this episode is Krista Loveless, Nopo, and she is very familiar with this. She will share powerful insights on why organizing your space affects your productivity. She's a home organizing expert and author. Welcome to the Minute Mastery, Krista.
Thank you, Ngozi. It is so nice to be here. Such a privilege.
Thank you. So, let's get on this. How does clutter affect productivity and our mental health?
Huge. And I look at productivity as not just having a to-do list and checking things off a list. Like today, I'm going to do these certain things. I look at productivity as a flow and getting into this flow of doing things that enhance your day and enhance your life. So when you've got clutter in the way, you are going to be blocked. That flow is not going to go the way that you think it's going to go. So this starts from the moment you wake up in the morning. If you wake up in a cluttered bedroom, you are immediately distracted. Your focus is already going in different directions. You may be judging yourself for having a cluttered home. You may be criticizing the people that you live with. You may not be able to find what you're looking for. Distracted when you see something that shouldn't be there. And you're just trying to already, as soon as you wake up, at least that's my experience, trying to solve problems that don't necessarily need to be solved right in that moment, or judging people and things that don't need to be judged and fixing things that don't need to be fixed. And that literally can happen the moment that you wake up in the morning if your home is not organized. Now, I'm not talking about being perfectly clean and tidy and looking like it's out of a magazine. To be organized just means that you're able to wake up in a state of somewhat calm, knowing what you're going to do for the day, and being able to flow throughout your day. So, if you've got clutter blocking you and you've got stumbling blocks, I mean, you're going to be frustrated as you're attempting to even get out the door for the day. Even if you don't work at home, you're not going to be as productive if you can't find your keys. If you are irritated because you run out of coffee because you forgot to go grocery shopping. So I think there's a huge impact on your productivity if your surroundings are not supporting you and you are not organized.
Well, that's insightful. Um, there's before I ask my next question, we live in what many have called a throwaway society. We don't fix things these days; we just throw them away.
Mm.
Why that is not a very great idea? It impacts on the environment. It impacts on so many other things. That is a topic for another day. But for me, I keep things sometimes because I don't want to throw them away. And I will tell myself, you know what? It might be useful maybe someday. I I used to like, I still do. I still like entertaining people. So I have different stuff, dishes that I use for entertainment. But I noticed that in the last couple of years, even when I entertain people, I don't use those stuff anymore because it is so difficult to keep them. And I always go with disposables and I make my
Mhm,
work even lighter. But I still do not want to get rid of the stuff that I used to use. So,
mhm, mhm.
is that a mental block? And what are the biggest mental blocks that keep people from decluttering?
Mm. Oh, that reminds me of my mother coming up this weekend. So I'll answer your question real quickly, but she lives 6 hours away, but she came for a visit and she brought clutter with her because of the same thing. This isn't even her stuff. It belongs to a dear friend who passed away, but she feels so obligated to make sure that those things are honored, even though they're broken and falling apart. She can't just put them in the trash, which is where they belong, honestly.
Yeah.
So she brought them on this trip and tried to give them away, tried to sell them, and nobody wants them. So I asked her, do you want to haul that stuff back with you or do you want to unload it in my trash can right now? And I was so proud of her because she said, let's put it in the trash can. And I said, how did that feel? And she said, wow, that felt really good. So it feels good to unburden yourself because clutter, like you said, is not just the physical things. It is a mental block because you want to honor the thing or you don't want to waste money. Something's perfectly good. Or in my mother's case, it was falling apart, but still she just couldn't let it go. So it just starts with your thoughts. Our thoughts create our reality, and your home actually influences your thoughts. The things that you hang on to influence your thoughts. So the state of your home really, really matters as far as like the kind of life you want to create for yourself. So I don't believe I know this is science. Like everything's made of energy. I mean, it buzzes, it moves, it's energetic. And you can, if you pay attention, you can feel it even in your home. So that means that your home is filled with energy that you can feel. And sometimes it feels heavy and you've got obligations and it's just stuff. Now, luckily, if you don't like the way your home feels, you can change it and you get to decide how your home feels. And I really believe, besides just decluttering, it starts with that mental capacity to just almost forgive yourself. It's okay that you have clutter and that you're hanging on to things. It's not a big deal. You're human. So instead of criticizing, instead of complaining and blaming, which is what I used to do, I'm like, why does everybody have all this crap everywhere? Excuse my language. Um, I decided to make a shift and test it with myself and then with my clients, and it works. So stop judging, start with your brain first. Even if your house is filled with clutter, find one small little tangible thing that can anchor you to your happy. And usually that's an action you need to take if it involves clutter. Pick one tiny little thing up and put it in the trash, put it in the donation box, and you're going to be really surprised by how taking that one small little action is going to make you feel so much better. Your house may still look cluttered, But if you do that every day, just one small thing, your house is going to look and feel so much better. And I am seeing this with my mom. She's getting rid of so many things and feeling so much better. And it just is life transforming. I really believe that decluttering is life transforming, but it doesn't have to happen real quickly. Let yourself do a little bit at a time and let yourself have clutter if you do have clutter and stop judging yourself for it. That's huge.
Oh, thank you. So, what are simple steps that one can start doing now in organizing, even if it feels impossible? For me, what I do is clean up as I go. I only started doing this recently. I mean, I've always cleaned up as I go, but when I finish using an item
Mm.
and I know that I'm done with this item, I want to get rid of it immediately. So if I keep it, it now becomes a struggle to throw it out. So
Mhm.
when I buy stuff, if I buy even a dress now, I always tell myself one dress in my closet has to go.
Oh, very good. Very
That is
good.
that is that is that is it's a new thing I just started. If I'm buying one item is gone. So that is my own coping mechanism right now because I'm tired of clutter. I don't like it. And so for people who are listening now and they're struggling with clutter, and we know how it affects our mental health and productivity.
Mhm.
For me, if a place is too cluttered, I can't work. And I spend so much time distracted by the clutter, thinking, "What do I do with this? What do I do with this? What do I do with this?" And until I clear out the mess, I cannot move forward. So,
Mhm.
things it affects productivity. What are simple steps that you can suggest that someone can start doing now that can transform their life?
Well, since you brought that up, the one in, one out, I'm curious. Can I ask you a question? How does that feel? Is that easy for you to do because you made that rule and you're like, this is the rule? So I've got to find the one dress that I don't love as much as the rest and get rid of it. How is that going for you?
It's not easy, but
Mhm.
yes, it makes me feel better. Tells me that I am doing something. I'm moving. The cluttering is still there. There are still a lot of stuff I still need to get rid of. But if I start small, 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 small like that, I know I will eventually get rid of the other stuff. So when I buy one stuff, I get rid of one.
Perfect. So you're just practicing it. So that's one of the techniques is just practice it because I grew up with not a whole lot of stuff. So now that I have stuff when I became an adult, it was really like I didn't want to get rid of it. So I had to practice and retrain my brain to let go of things I no longer use. So what you're doing is something that is referred to as the container rule, which is a great place to start. So tell yourself, take the emotions out of it. Like, I only have this much space, whatever it is. And so if I bring something else into the house, it has to fit in that space. And we don't mean cramming it in there. We mean it has to comfortably fit. And you have to have some little room to move your clothes back and forth. So you get rid of the least favorite thing and then you replace it with a new favorite thing. So that's perfect. That's a great place to start. And then also just grabbing the low hanging fruit. What is like so obvious that you can like trash? Oddly enough, when I would organize for people, they had trash that they were just stepping over, just didn't pay any attention to. If you open up a junk drawer, or just like maybe the drawer in your desk, you're probably going to find things like broken pencils. That's trash. Get rid of that. So that's easy. Mismatched socks, get rid
Yeah.
of that. Things that are just obviously broken or that you never will use again.
Mhm.
It's almost like I consider decluttering like ripping off a bandage that's like stuck to your skin and your hair. And you're like, oh, it's really going to hurt if I do that, if I rip it off. It hurts for a second. And then afterwards, you're like, ah, that's better. Now I can move and I feel free and feel better. So that's what decluttering should feel like. It shouldn't be a horrible experience. It should feel freeing, but you have to practice it to do it. And then also going back to the mental states and the mindsets. A lot of the people, surprisingly, that I worked for were perfectionists And you would think that a perfectionist would have a perfectly tidy home, but perfectionism actually causes clutter because you feel like if I'm not going to be able to do it correctly or perfectly, I'm just not going to do it at all. Which I actually see that in my husband. He has piles of clutter everywhere because he doesn't know how to put it up perfectly or which thing he should get rid of or which thing he doesn't. So he just leaves the pile, then goes out to the store and buys more stuff to forget about this pile and concentrates on the new pile. So releasing perfectionism is hard. So I can't tell you how to do that except just to make a choice. Just make a choice to pick something up and get rid of it. It's as simple as that. Choices aren't necessarily always easy, but you can do it. You can make a choice, just make a conscious effort to throw a piece of trash away, throw an obvious donation away.
No, good. I like story about your husband because I've had to deal with that sort of thing. It gets to a point because I have moved several times. They are usually big moves. So I used to live in England and then we moved from England to here. And we've been here now for like 11 years. I have boxes from England that has not been opened.
Yes.
Like, and it is driving me nuts. And I tell myself, if I've not used these things for 10 years, they are not worth it. So the main thing that keeps some of those boxes on where some documents I would like, oh, we need to check it so that maybe if inland revenue this I don't know what is the equivalent is the CRA, the comfort tax and whatever, we can always do this and do that. So you don't want to throw this away just in case they ask you for that in the future and all of that. So I have boxes of Clutter from England that has not been done. I kept it in the basement, like, because if you are not seeing it, then it doesn't exist.
Right. Yes, exactly. So let me ask you then, these boxes, to me, I mean, it may be a little controversial, but most professional organizers will tell you you need to open either. If you haven't looked in it, just don't even open the box up. That's another way to do it, and just go here and give it to somebody or throw it away, which I think might make a lot of people feel very give them a panic attack. If the boxes are not in your way and you know that or you just feel someday you may need them and they're just stored in an attic or in a basement, I think that's actually okay. I give my approval on that if it's not disrupting your peace of mind. Now, if it is bothering you and you're like, oh my gosh, I have got to get rid of that stuff, and just open up one box at a time and look at things. And you've had them for 11 years. I mean, if it takes you one more year to go through each box, what's the big deal? It's okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So that maybe because I've hidden it away in the basement for 11 years and it's not bothering me. And I just said to myself, you know what? This is not bothering me. Let it stay there for now. One day I'll open them and check what they are. I know they are no longer useful, but I know then I can begin to declutter them. So in a case like that, like if you are in a space where this bothers you and you are like how you describe your husband, if it bothers you and it's causing you distress, you then go and buy more stuff to add to it. Will you think, because I always tell people during my coaching sections that if you think you cannot handle this, get a specialist to help you. Get somebody who is expert in this area to help you check these things out, because I've done that before. And the lady came in and she said, you know what, I'm going to open these things up. I'm going to spread them all out. Then when I finish doing that, I'll call you to come and have a look. And you tell me what should stay and what should go.
Yes. Yes. Which is very helpful because the person that's doing that has no emotional attachment to it. So then it helps kind of ease a little bit of the tension for you too. Or hopefully that's the goal anyway.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah. So I found out online. I called her. I said, look, she does home organizing like you. And I called her and I said, you know what? This place is a mess. I don't care. Like even the pantry is a mess. I don't care. Just tell me what you want to do with this.
Yeah.
want to throw things out, just throw them out. Check the dates and tell me what to do and buy stuff and arrange it,
Mhm.
So would you recommend that for anyone listening at this time and they can't do it themselves?
Yes.
They can't do it
Yes.
themselves.
It's hard. So if you feel really stuck and you're very overwhelmed, and like I said, a lot of the people that I worked with were very high functioning, like corporate women, families, and they just had a lot going on. You can only do so much. The thing is, though, you have somebody else come in and organize for you, declutter and get rid of things, and work alongside them. Everybody organizes differently. So what I found was I did have clients that I would set up a system. We would talk about the system. They were very involved in the whole process with me. And then I'd have to come back again in a month to redo everything because they got disorganized again. So it was a continual process. And then I finally realized they don't organize like I do. Their brains do not work like mine. Just the same with my husband. His brain does not work the same as mine, and we all have different organizing styles. And here's a good reference for you: clutterbug.org, which is not my website, but take the quiz, the Clutterbug quiz. There are 4 different styles. Some people need to have visual abundance. They need to see their stuff. If you tuck it away in a drawer for them, they're just going to pull it out again and it's going to be exploded everywhere because they have to see their things. So you may also like to have big categories, like just a big basket. Throw things in a basket. It doesn't have to be like, you know, by color or size. Whereas I personally like to have, like, for instance, like all of my clothes have to be by size, by color. It's a little way too detailed for some people. Some people just want to throw their underwear in a basket and be done and not fold it. That's great too. So just make sure if you work with somebody that they understand your organizing style and that you understand your organizing style so you stay organized. And that is the key, making sure you're doing it the correct way, the correct systems.
Oh. And so when do you, as a home organizer, at what point do you see someone cluttering becoming a mental health issue? Because
Mm.
sometimes it gets to the point where it becomes like hoarding.
Yes.
And hoarding is not good. Like,
Yes. Hoarding is actually, it's not a decluttering, organizing issue. It is a mental health issue. So at that point, if I ever were to walk into, and I worked with a few borderline hoarders, but nothing too terrible because they did not get very emotional. They were willing to release things for the most part. So that is a specialist. That is a special organizer. And I did not get training in that, but there is a lot of mental work that goes into it. And it's more just like psychological as opposed to the physical environment. So yes, that would require someone probably above my pay grade, to be honest. Yeah, because it's so much more than just a pretty space. It's like they really have to do a whole lot of like mental work. Yeah.
mental work. Okay. So, how can an organized space transform other areas of life?
Oh, I think that everything is related to, so I believe that certain areas of your home are related to certain areas of your life. Like, if you want to be healthy, then taking on your kitchen and making sure your kitchen is like as healthy as it can be, that will make you healthy. Or if you want to spend time with your family and you feel like maybe you're a little disconnected, make sure the spaces you share together, like, the living room, the family room, make sure that is conducive to like cuddling up on the couch and spending time together. Um, I just really think that every room is connected to your life, and clutter gets in the way of all of that. It gets in the way of what you're trying to create for yourself.
Good. And so for people with children, it takes cluttering to another level because
Yeah.
there are so many stuff you need to decide at what point. For instance, I I'm doing this recording in my daughter's room, and she has this toffee that she's used since she was a little girl, and she doesn't want to get rid of her stuffy. And even I feel connected to that stuffy because we've had moments with that. You don't want to get rid of things like that.
Mhm.
It's kind of emotional. So,
Yeah.
so for people with children,
Mhm.
do you don't you think there should be a little bit more rigor in terms of organization and home management?
I do. Children are their own people too, and we forget that. Yes, you want to guide them. I have a 16-year-old. I still will go into his bedroom and pick up for him, like maybe once a month. It's his job, his space. So I usually just close the door and ignore it, but I go in and help him and guide him. But I don't get rid of anything that my children are attached to. So my daughter's 23 years old and she still has stuffies and little things that she's attached to that I would not dare dream of like getting rid of. And then I also notice with children too, we hang on to things that we are attached to for them. For
Yeah.
instance, Legos. I think my son was like 12, 13 years old. And I was like, Barrett, come help me clean up your Legos. Let's organize them. He's like, I don't like Legos. Can we get rid of them? And I literally, my reaction was, oh, you don't like Legos anymore? Because to me, that meant he was growing up. So I found myself holding on to things that he didn't want. And I was organizing them by color, which was a waste of everybody's time. So yes, just remember that they still should have a say, though, what they keep and what they don't keep. And it's just a stage. My mother tells me that I was very messy and that she would just close my door so she didn't have to see my clutter. And I grew up to become a professional organizer. So they're going to be okay. They'll be fine.
Oh, good, good. So, um, thank you so much for the insights on this. If my audience want to connect with you, how do they reach you?
Well, probably the best way is to go to my website. It is crystalnurple.com. And you can find me on Instagram at Crystal Loveless Nurple. And that's probably the best way.
Okay. So, what do you offer people when they come to
Right
you?
now, advice on my website through blog posts, and I've written a book, Loving Your Home, Clean Up Your Focus, Not Your House. So that really is how I'm supporting people in this moment. I'm not actually actively going into homes right now and organizing for people. Just a disclaimer.
Thank you very much. So, um, we're going to leave your details in this episode show notes. And please, if you're watching this episode, please connect with Krista Nepal. She's a home organizer and she can help you transform your home into a space that you will love and it will improve your productivity. Thanks for tuning in to the Minute Mastery Podcast. If you have found this episode helpful, share it with someone who could use more time in their day. And remember to subscribe and leave us a review. Until next time, remember, you control your time and be balanced.